Joe, from the website and the prospectus, it looks that EMLyon is all about enterprise, entrepreneurship. What could be less enterprising than studying?
It's not at all less enterprising. It's very consistent with entrepreneurship. Studying is about moving into new areas that you don't have knowledge. It's taking risks in terms of oftentimes taking yourself out of what your comfort zone is, what you've been doing, jumping into something else. So I think it's a very enterprising activity.
I mean, the enterprise for me is 30, 40, 50,000 euros of my own money on a one-year program. Why not take that money and put it into a business idea that I have?
You are able to put that money into an education, take a lot of value on board, and then use that in some way afterwards. You control that much more than taking it, putting it into the stock market or other ways that have a lot more vagaries.
This word control is interesting because isn't the whole point of enterprise risk? So the idea of a safe or secure investment that I can control seems kind of at odds with the risk of enterprise.
Well, enterprise and entrepreneurship isn't necessarily just about risk. One element of being entrepreneurial is that you're taking on uncertainty, and uncertainty and risk are two very different things. Risk you can quantify and put probabilities on. Uncertainty you can't. Uncertainty in terms of what value am I going to get out of this business and take on a new technology, a new way of doing things that has never been done before. That's the entrepreneurial act.
If I do an MBA, am I not learning how to do minor innovations in a big corporation?
How can we apply this thinking in a corporation with knowledge of the other aspects of the corporation so that we can affect a change and we can have this corporation then move into new ideas? If we just come in with just the entrepreneurship piece without the other MBA functional knowledge areas, we may not be able to really affect a change because we can't do it with knowledge of how the rest of the organization works.
Doesn't that make your students a pain in the ass for these companies?
A good consultant should at times be a pain. I mean, because they have to ask the challenging questions. They have to push sometimes to have the clients do things that they might not want to do because they're locked into a way of thinking.
About France. Former US President George W. Bush once famously said, "The French have no word for entrepreneur." Now, joking aside, did he have a point? This seems to be a socialist country with a 35-hour working week.
Is France a hotbed of entrepreneurship? And the answer really is no. And is it a socialist thing? No, I think it's more of culturally the way in which companies have evolved, in which they work. That being said, outside of this norm of culture and these hierarchies of companies, there are more and more 20-some-year-olds who are stepping outside of that and doing some really cracking work in developing entrepreneurial ideas, interesting technologies, and moving beyond that.
There's no minimum GMAT score to get on the course.
Correct.
So why bother taking it?
Could we just say, let's just take anyone off the street and teach them how to be entrepreneurs? Sure, we could. We could have some other program. It wouldn't be an MBA. Are there people slipping out of the net who maybe don't do well on the GMAT but could be very good entrepreneurs? Absolutely. But there's no way of totally assessing all that, which is another reason why we don't have a minimum GMAT.